Hey guys, how you doing? It's Brad with atrepodcast.com, all things real estate. Very excited today to have GreatBuildz with us. Now, GreatBuildz is a completely free service that simplifies the contractor search by matching and connecting homeowners with reliable, thoroughly screened general contractors throughout the Los Angeles and Ventura area. Welcome, Paul Dashevsky. How you doing, Paul?
Thank you so much. I got to turn off my notifications here. Sorry about that. Great to be here, Brad. Appreciate the time.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being here. Paul, let me ask you, who founded GreatBuildz?
It's myself and my nephew, John GreatBuildz. So it's just the two of us. Been around for a couple years now.
Okay. And how many contractor recommendations do you select for each client? And why don't you tell us a little bit, before you answer that question, tell us a little bit about what GreatBuildz is, and then we can go into that next question.
I'll give you the 2-minute origin story here. I was flipping homes for about 10 years here in Southern California, and it was great. But the bane of my existence was finding good contractors, right? We all know that's kind of difficult. Every time I'd meet somebody new and I'd tell them what I did, they'd want to talk to me about one of two things, Brad. They'd either want to talk to me about a nightmare renovation they had, or they said, can you recommend a good contractor? I started doing my homework, and I started, looking online thinking, does everybody have this same problem that I do? And indeed, there was a survey done not too long ago. A few people have heard of this, but they interviewed people that renovated, and over 50%, 52% said they had a bad experience. Now, I mean, how many industries do you know that over 50% of people aren't happy with the product, right?
Paul, let me tell you,
Right?
I've done my whole entire house many times, and I think I've had 2 contractors out of probably 30 that actually did what they said they were going to do. 2.
So your ratio is even worse than the 50%.
It's horrible. Yeah. And I'm in the business.
I thought about trying to figure out a way, how do people find contractors, right? And the best way is ask a friend, right? That's what we all do. We ask a friend who's renovated, had a good experience. So that, to me, that's the only good way to find a contractor. And everything else is, okay, sifting through your junk mail or going online and sifting through contractor reviews. We have over 20,000 licensed general contractors here in Southern California. So
Yes.
Sort of good luck. So I started this business essentially, like you said, we're a matchmaker. It's a free service that connects homeowners or realtors that want to renovate with pre-vetted, pre-screened general contractors. And then we stay involved through the whole renovation process to make sure everything goes smoothly and to keep the contractors accountable. That's how we work.
So Paul, how many recommendations are you giving per, if I was to go onto your site and I was looking for a general contractor, how many guys do I get? How are girls or the company?
That's a good question. So we like to say everybody should get 3 bids, right? Whether you use GreatBuildz or not, you want to talk to enough people. So what we do is during the client intake call, the client calls us. We get a sense of their budget, their needs, their timing, their personality. And then based on that, and answer any questions they have, based on that, we'll match them with 3 contractors that we think are the best fit for them, figuring not everybody gets along with everybody else, but they're going to like one of those 3, if not more.
Excellent. And what kind of verification process, Paul, do your contractors go through?
Yeah, so that's another piece of why I started what I started is, look, there's a process to find a good contractor, right? Most people choose a contractor based on 2 things we've found, because I've done some interviewing on this. Price, right? We all want a good price, and their gut feeling.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad, I liked you first time we met, so you must be a great guy. It's really not enough, because they're trying to sell you. They're on their first date with you. They're trying to sell you.
That's
so
exactly
what we do is, we do a license check. We do an insurance check. We do an in-person interview, or at least we used to do an in-person interview. We check their experience. We check their social media and reviews. We call their references. We run a background check. Absolutely. And we make them sign a code of conduct as to how to behave with our clients. So we really try to go the extra mile to get the good guys on board. So
you're taking the worry out of it for us, because that is, for people who are looking to, remodel, it's a difficult thing. You like the guy, but then everybody I have hired that I like that seemed great, they end up maybe not finishing the job because they're going to the next job. And I found that when they're at your house for too long of a period, they're sick of you. Like these contractors want to move on. They want to get and do the job and get it done. So I can appreciate the process that you're going through. So Paul, let me ask you the golden question. In my business and in LA, especially with the homeless, there has been a resurgence of what you would call ADUs. So Paul, can you explain for my listeners what an ADU is?
Sure. Yeah, that's a big one for us. About half of our calls are folks that are interested in doing ADUs, right? So an ADU is an accessory dwelling unit, and the laws, it's essentially a small second house you can put on your property or in your backyard. So the laws changed a couple of years ago, and then they changed again, not just in LA, but at the state level. So every city, it's pertinent to every city. Essentially, you could build a small second unit, second home in your backyard or in your garage, up to 1,200 square feet. They've made it a lot easier. Everybody's entitled to it. Every single family lot, every multifamily lot for the most part can build one of these things.
Wow.
The interesting thing, Brad, is why people are doing it, right? So very briefly, you do it for rental purposes if you want more income, right? As an investor. Right. You could do it if you want to house like a senior parent, an aging parent in your backyard, and you don't want them in a home. You could do that in your backyard. Lots of investors, folks that used to flip homes. Well, now we're, making duplexes out of single family homes. So there's a lot of that. Or retirees are actually putting one in their own backyard, renting out their main house for rental income and living in the back. Yeah, so lots of use cases.
Are you finding that they're in much more greater demand, that people are really?
No question. We have a statistic a couple of years ago. There were about 300 of them permitted in LA County. Now there's over 15,000 being permitted.
Wow.
No question. Huge.
So what were the new guidelines in 2020 for ADUs, Paul?
So number one, essentially they don't require any more parking. That used to be a big factor, Brad, is, you want to build a guest house, you got to put parking.
Right.
Number one, no more parking requirements. Number two, no more rental restrictions. That used to be, you can build a guest house, but it's for family or whatever. Right. Now you can rent it for sure. CC&Rs and HOAs cannot disallow these things.
Really? I did not know that. So someone in a gated community could build a mother-in-law. I mean, we used to call it mother-in-law suites, right? Can now build a guest unit.
Yeah, great. We used to call them granny flats.
Yeah, we did.
In theory, the HOAs might fight these things, but in theory, that's right.
Not supposed to, right?
In theory, that everybody's allowed to do it. Setbacks. Remember when setbacks were like 10 or 20 feet?
Right.
No more. The state has said you can build up to 4 feet from your side yard, 4 feet from your backyard. So you're really using your whole yard.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
what are they generally? What's the price generally on do you do prefab or are you just doing contractors that specialize in a?
Mostly stick built, although there's a lot of good prefab products. Pricing is roughly about the same when you include everything. If you're converting a garage, if you got taking a 400 square foot garage or something, which we do a lot of in the Valley, that's going to cost you $70 to $100K.
Right.
To make that into a house, right? If you want to build brand new, remember you're building a house, right? You need the HVAC, you need the kit, you need everything. $300 to $400 per square foot, roughly.
Makes sense.
Depending on what you need.
Which is a normal rebuild. So what do you? So you're not a contractor, and this company was started strictly because. Are you a nationwide company? Or are you just in California?
Just Southern California for now.
Okay.
Orange County, LA County.
And you're just expanding out. Okay,
That's
I got it. And how many contractors are in your service right now?
We got about 50 contractors. I add them slowly, right? I'd rather be right than fast or big. Smart. So I if I recommend someone to you, you better be happy. If you're pissed off, that's
you're not just putting anyone up there because they're giving you a credit card and saying, hey, refer me.
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, the guys that want to be in the network are usually the guys we don't want.
Right. So, I get it.
So the ones we want, Brad, are usually the ones that don't advertise. They're so good, they don't need to advertise. They work on referrals.
Yeah.
And we have to seek them out. So we want the guys that don't want us.
That's good. I like that. That's great. And that's one of the things, even with my podcast, that I'm, making sure I just don't want to have anybody on and support someone's business who maybe I don't believe in or I don't know about. And that's why you and I have never met, but I wanted to do a little bit of research on you first, just to make sure that obviously you're a reputable company. Is there anything else that GreatBuildz has to offer that maybe that we should know about?
No, I appreciate that question. And thank you, Brad, for having me on again. Yeah, there's one thing, and I'm glad I'm talking to you because I know a lot of realtors from my previous life and I love working with realtors. There's one thing we do, and I really made it an important facet in terms of the contractors that I brought on. For the agents like yourself that have buyers that are looking at homes, but they're looking at homes that every home always needs something. I know buyers. There's always, every home is not perfect. It either needs a kitchen or a pool or this or that. If you have buyers that are in escrow on a home that needs work, our contractors will come and give you bids while you're in escrow. Not every contractor likes to do that because they don't know if you're going to close, but we've made it, and we think it's important. So for agents that have buyers that need bids while they're in escrow for any kind of major renovations, I'll hook you up with contractors that can do that.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And that's a great, because you just never know if your contractor can even get out there. So maybe that's a great segue for you to introduce your company. For someone who can't get a hold of their contractor, you've got contractors that are ready to come out, which is great. So Paul, how can a listener get a hold of you if they'd like to, maybe A, would you like to use your services, or B, if it's a contractor that'd like to really be on your show or on your show, on your site?
Yeah, right.
Your show, your site, whatever.
I might have a show.
Yeah.
So GreatBuildz is one word, GreatBuildz, but it's got a Z at the end of it. You can find us on our website, or I'm Paul at greatbuildz.com is my is my email address. And we're happy to help. I've sort of trained my staff to be helpful, whether you need a contractor or you just have questions. You're in escrow, you have questions about construction. You want to know some budgets, whatever it is. We want to be here to help because there's not enough companies that are just available to be helpful.
Right.
So that's really where I want to go with this. So anybody that needs anything, we're open to a phone call anytime.
Excellent. So Paul, let's do a couple of things. One is, why don't you spell out your website? So it's www. Spell it out, and let's really make sure.
Sure. GreatBuildz is GreatBuildz. GreatBuildz with a Z at the end.com.
Okay. And then it is Paul at greatbuildz.com as well, correct?
That's right.
Okay. And is there a phone number you'd like to give out for anyone who'd like to call you to get on your, or do you just want them to go to your website, check it out, and they can get your number there? Up to you.
What is our website phone number? Yeah, it's 818-317-3567. So now you got
818-317-3567. Paul Dashevsky. Is that correct? Did I butcher your name?
You were close enough. It's not easy like Brad Roth. There's no way to butcher that.
Well, hey, I appreciate you being here today, Paul. You've been a great guest. I really highly encourage anybody out there who is looking for a contractor. You aren't quite sure where to go. Go to GreatBuildz. If you're a contractor anywhere in the country, try to encourage Paul to maybe expand his website. There's a lot of people out there in this United States and beyond that need Paul's services. So guys, I really encourage you to call him, email him, and let's support him.